Welcome back for part 3 of our video series for week 1. In this section, we're going to be going over a couple different ways that you can manage windows. Okay, so the first one that we're going to be talking about today, we're going to be talking about a couple things. One is snapping windows, then we're going to be talking about flipping between windows, and then the task view and how you can create virtual desktops. Okay, and finally, how to show your desktop. If you got all this junk on your desktop, how do you do that? How do you work with that? How do you show that? So to start off with, we will start off with snapping windows on your desktop. So I have these, multiple windows open on my screen, right? So for instance, if I wanted to make this organized, because this is it's a nightmare right now. I can't tell what's going on. It's just doesn't. It's not a good way to work, right? What you can do is in Windows 10, the way you do it is you can do it on Windows 11 too. But let me see if it does it here. See, when you drag your mouse pointer, you'll notice my mouse pointer is clicking on this little bar at the top. I'm left clicking on that bar, and I'm dragging it to the right. And you'll notice that I got this gray area that popped up, right? That gray area that pops up is telling me, you might get a transparent one that pops up, but either way you'll get some kind of shape, showing that it's going to be creating this rectangular shape on your screen, right? So that tells you that it's going to put this on half of your screen. You see that? When I clicked and I drug it to the side, it gives me that option, that shape that comes up in the background. And I let go of my left click on my mouse. I let go of that left click now. It drops it into that position. You see that? And now, on the left-hand side, it brings up all these other windows. It's basically telling me, what do you want to put on the other half of your window, right? So it has everything that's open for me right now. It has my recording software. It has, everything that I have open. So say, for instance, I wanted to have this window, this PowerPoint window, on the left side. So I click on that, and it fills that side with these two windows. You see that? So it helps it be a little bit more organized. For instance, if I wanted to say, oh, okay, well, I want to save this, maybe somewhere over here, right? So I save it, and I can see the things over here while I'm working on this PowerPoint on this side. Or maybe you want to have a lesson plan open, like our lesson plans, while you're doing something in Word, or maybe you're trying something out. You can have this, your lesson plan open on the right side while you have, another window open on your left side. So that's where that's very powerful. So now, if you have even more windows, right? We do have more windows. So I'll be showing you how to navigate that. So if I, again, click on this bar at the top and hold it down, and I can now drag it around, right? You see me dragging it? If I move to the corner here, that drops it in that corner. You see that? And now it's telling me on this section down here, it brings up all my active windows. What do I want to put there? So I want to put this Google window. So I'm going to put that one there. You see that? And the same thing on this side. If I wanted to put another window here, I can click on this bar, drag it up to the corner, my mouse pointer up to the corner. And once I get that gray shape like what we had before, we drop it, right? And finally, it asks me again, what window do I want to put in this last little square in this bottom right-hand corner? So I'm going to put in this this YouTube front end, so I'm going to go ahead and put that there. So now we have 4 different windows. You see that? So if you have like like I have a big screen computer here, so it works for me to have 4 different windows. It's easy for me to work on, right? It's very easy actually. That's one way that you can do this. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop these around here again. Just put them back to their natural state, right? Now, what's really nice about Windows 11 is that when we were mousing over this maximize window earlier, this maximize option, the single square here, you see where my mouse pointer is? you'll see that you get these options, like these little, it looks similar to those gray bars that we had before on our screen when we had to drag our mouse to the side. But in Windows 11 you don't have to do that. I don't remember if in Windows 10 you're able to do this too. I don't think so, but in Windows 11 you can. And it gives us these different orientations, right? So say we only want to work with in this format here. You see how this has something that's big on the side here, and then it has a smaller sliver on the other side. So this is useful for when maybe you're looking at news or a social media feed on the right hand side, and then on the left hand side maybe you're either browsing on the internet or maybe you're watching a video or something along these lines. So if I click on this, I want this to be my main area, right? And maybe I want to bring up YouTube on this side, right? I go to my YouTube home, right? So I want to look at a video on this side. But on this other side, maybe I want to look at my files. So I move my mouse over this little box again, right? And I want to make it this little sliver over here, you see? So now I have all my files on this side, okay? So now that we have it oriented in this fashion, right? And we can change this whenever we want. If we move our mouse over this little square again, we can then do this orientation if we want. And now Windows is a little confused, saying, oh, okay, well, you picked that orientation, so what do you want to be on this side now? So we'll go ahead and do our file again. You see it stretches it out to that format. And then finally, I want to have, I'll bring up my FreeTube on this side. It's called FreeTube. So this is another tool that we can use to do this. So so that's called snap, snapping your windows to in Windows, basically to have a more organized orientation on your screen. Another thing that you can do is you can use the flip option. Okay, now this is something that you're going to use very commonly. In order to do this, you hold down the Alt key on your keyboard, and I tend to do that with my thumb, and then with my middle finger, as I'm holding down that Alt key, I'll press the Tab key. And you'll notice when I do that, I just clicked it, we get these, it shows all of our windows here, right? You see how it has all the windows that I have open right now? So what I can do is while I'm holding down that Alt key with my thumb, with my middle finger, if I just click on Tab with that same hand, you'll see that windows get highlighted. You see that with a little blue border? What that's doing is it's basically telling me it's having me select which window I want to be my active window. Which window do I want to bring to the forefront, right? So if I do this Opera window that has YouTube open, and then I let go of my Tab button, boom, that window is in the forefront. Okay, so it's pretty nice. You can flip through all these, and maybe you want to bring that up. You can do that. Hold down your Alt key, use your middle finger to click the Tab button. Lets you navigate through all this stuff. You see that? Bam. It's very helpful. It takes a little getting used to as far as muscle memory, but once you get it, it gets a lot easier, and it's very helpful for you. So now the next thing we're going to talk about is Task View. Task View is something you'll see on the bottom of your screen here. Where you see where my mouse is right here? If you move your mouse over these two little windows here, this brings up something called Task View. So if we click on it, right, it brings up all of our windows on our screen here, right? So just like doing an Alt Tab, we can just click on this one, and that becomes the window in our forefront, right? Click on it again, and we can click on that one. It comes up to our forefront of our windows, right? But there's another thing with Task View. Is you can create what's called a virtual desktop. When I click on this, you see you have these different windows, but below, down here, do you see where it says Desktop 1, Desktop 2, and New Desktop? So I'm going to close out this desktop too. You can close them out permanently by clicking on this little X button, just like how we do with everything else. You click on the X and it's gone now. So if I wanted to, say I have so much junk on this desktop, right? You see all this stuff? And maybe this is just work stuff. Maybe I want to have a different virtual desktop for, maybe you just want to mess around with some stuff, right? Like maybe you want to have a browser open. So I click on this and it creates a new desktop. You see that? Desktop 2. Now, I don't even know if this is going to come out in the video, but basically what this does is it creates a new desktop, and I only want to have on this one, maybe I have an ebook reader here. Let's see if it opens up. Okay, so this brings up my ebook reader on this desktop. So I can go ahead and bring up this, it's like for iPhone 14, right? So this is what I have on this desktop. So you'll see it's here. When I move over this this task view, you'll see desktop 2 has this ebook reader. Desktop 1 has this original stuff that we were dealing with. And once you're done with that virtual desktop, I would highly recommend that you close it. In most cases, I'll be honest, you're not going to use this. You're not really going to use this. It's something that's really nice to know, but I never use this. It seems like too much hassle for me to use, so I don't use it. You might find use for it, and your use case might be different than mine though, so it's good to know how to use, okay? So I'm going to close that one because I'm not going to use that. And I'm just on my desktop one again. So that's how you use your virtual desktops, okay? And if for some reason you want to get to your desktop because maybe there's some icons, hiding behind here, what you can do is if you move your mouse, you see where my mouse is? Just to the right of the time in this little tiny sliver down here, you'll see a little icon comes up that says Show Desktop. So you can click there, and that minimizes everything, and you're on your desktop here. Everything's still open down here. You notice that if you remember on our lesson, when something's open, there'll be a little line down here. They're all open, they just minimized. They minimized everything, so you can see your desktop. Now, alternatively, if we have all this stuff open again, right? We have all this stuff open. All this open. If you want to, I don't even think they mentioned this in our lesson, but if you want to minimize that using the key press, this is what I do. It's easy for me, but it doesn't mean it's going to be easy for you. It just takes time to get used to it. I tend to put my pinky on the Windows key. You'll see it looks like a little Windows flag on your keyboard. And then I press the D key, D like David. Hold down the Windows key and press D like David. Bam. That takes me to my desktop. So I use my pinky to press the Windows key, and I use my my index finger to press the D key, and that either will take you to your desktop or will reopen your applications back on your screen. You see that? Hold down the Windows key, press the D to minimize them, press the D again to bring them back up. So there you go. That is the end of week 1. I hope this has been helpful for you. I hope you can refer to this when you're at home and it'll help you out. See you in class.